So, good morning. I want to just offer some basics about spinner installation and some of the things that I've learned. I just calculated in my brain before turning on the camera. It's probably been 30 years I've been using this product. All spinners are not created equal, is my preface, and this one is made by Dubro, D-U-B-R-O. The Chinese copies don't necessarily have all the best features of this. There are 4 cast posts in the spinner top that index into holes in the backing plate that I think add to their stability. The primary job with fitting a spinner is any adjustment possibly necessary in what I would call the slot, whereby the propeller blade does not contact the spinner. You can imagine that if that slot is too small, that the propeller blade will press against the body of the spinner, and if it's not trimmed judiciously to have clearance all the way around, particularly in this case, in this example, after a couple swipes with the razor blade knife, it's impacting at the thickest part of the blade here, and it looks like I've gotten a 1/16 of clearance here. The other thing I want to just quick highlight is that, pressing this together, there's still 3/16 or so of gap where the blade is keeping the spinner from seating. And you can see that if I were to just go at it, tightening this recessed socket head bolt, it would just start distorting the plastic. So inevitably you need to take some plastic away up here, and only there. The minimum removal of plastic possible. The other thing that should be obvious, but not always, is that this straight vertical that impacts the back of the propeller, the trailing edge, that should not be touched. That's cast in a very specific way, keyed to the center point of the spinner. Now, notice that this one also has lock nuts, nylocks cast into the backing plate. That's the sign of a quality item. You'll also notice on here that there are quite a few scratches from me grabbing the aluminum prop collet with things as aggressive as pliers. Certainly, if this gets distorted and bent in your efforts to tighten the nut, the more potential you'll have for a damaged part, or as is the goal, impacting the smooth rotation of the propeller without vibration. Obviously, if you take away more material on this side than this side, you'll end up with something that'll introduce an out of balance characteristic. So independently balancing your propeller vertically and horizontally is valuable, and as well as coming up with a way to chuck your collet spinner combination to do likewise. And certainly that can be done on a lot of conventional prop balancing fixtures. The scope of what I wanted to say doesn't include prop balancing, but for these APC cast nylon propellers, I've seen clear plastic tape done as I did on this one. And I say that because when you get to balancing a propeller vertically, and mind you, APC landing products makes some of the best quality precision made product available in the world. When you end up with the vertical balancing and you end up having to add weight, you have a very narrow purchase to get the moment necessary to balance it on the vertical. One of the most effective solutions to that I found was gluing a a tiny little chunk of Velcro and then filling that Velcro with dots of cyanoacrylate glue to get it balanced. That's hidden underneath, and once the CA cures, that's hard as stone, and in the end it's hidden underneath this spinner. Anyway, achieving vertical balance of the combined assembly as well as horizontal pays dividends in a smooth running system where, you know, at least in the application this is getting involved and installed is a multiplex Acromaster pattern plane. I want that puppy to be as smooth as possible because there's basically a 3 by 1 inch piece of aluminum that locks that into the foam fuselage, so the less vibration, better. So my next step here will be to use my razor blade knife to remove a bit more material here, nothing from the trailing edge, and in the end doing it until I can seat the spinner and see a little daylight of equal amounts on both sides. That calls it good. The propeller blade should not touch the spinner whatsoever, and your spinner should seat. So when I press this in and tighten the nut that's on here, I can't do that all with my hands tied up here, but when I tighten the nut, I'll pick something to just snug that collet with a rag around it to just keep it from spinning that last bit so I can torque it enough that the propeller won't fall off. Don't get carried away when you're tightening aluminum. This is Clayton in the River City, Dubuque, giving you a full view of me as I make this little video.